Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a page in my personal junk journal. I am working in the journal that I created as a prototype for some Christmas little golden book journals that I'm working on. You can see a full flip through of this completed book when it was undecorated in the description box in the playlist below. You can also, I'll link the other pages that I created in the journal with the spreads, all in the same playlist. So I use this journal as a memory keeping, but kind of in an esoteric way. I keep items that maybe I'm impressed with, or like ephemera from, something that I did. I don't do a lot of writing, like scripty feelings, emotions on the page kind of journaling. But I like to also track some of the projects that I'm working on. So today I am going to, it looks like we're moving into the second signature, so that's awesome. And I'm going to go ahead and pick a page. I can use this green one. It'll work with the layout that I'm thinking of. I wonder if I need clips. Do I need clips? I think it'll be fine. So I am working on a few things that I wanted to kind of put in here as memory keeping. I have this altered book that I'm working on. You can see a video of this if it hasn't already dropped, then it should within, a few days. But this is more of an altered book style, where it's a hardback book that I'm pulling pages out of. And I like to use a lot of the pages as the memorabilia, or the ephemera, sorry, in the book. So for this book, I'll take a lot of the book pages that I just pulled out, and I will make them into envelopes or decoupage on them, or, make them into journaling cards, all the things. So I have some that I've been working on that are just watercolor. So this is one of those things that I do when I just maybe don't have a lot of inspiration, or I'm not really inspired. And so you see that some of them are metallic, but I just take the pages and I paint them and know that I'm going to use them in the book later. So I'm going to do some, I want to lay down one of these pages as my background. I think I'm going to use this one. It's very metallic-y. These are metallic watercolor paints that I used for this one. I'm not going to be super anything about it. I think I will use it as the background, but first I'm going to use this packaging. You're probably already familiar with what it is, but it's a Tim Holtz Ideology packing. This happens to be from the Worn Wallpaper, but I went to grab brown paper or craft paper and saw this, and I think that it's pretty funny to use this. And I'm going to be tearing it so that it looks like a tree. Well, not a tree, part of a tree. So I want something that will have a couple tall branches. So this is where you just, I think I have to trust the process. There's that. And of course, this is just an idea of a tree. Let's see. I'm trying to get less of the white space in the tear, so I'm trying to tear it towards me, but we'll see how it goes. There's that. And then I'm going to do another one right here. Branches aren't always straight or go the way you want them to. There's that. And let's do another one right here. see, this way? Yeah, this way. So I'm going to use this straight edge as the straight edge on my page. Cut some of this off. Make sure I'm still in frame. This was the piece that I originally wanted to kind of memorialize. Is that the right word? In this book, or, you know, in the spread. But then I realized I have more of these birds that I haven't used. So that's where we're going with this. Let's see. I'm gonna do a couple things here. I'm gonna grab my ink, I'm gonna grab my glue. I'm gonna move my book out of the way. I'm gonna kind of glue this down. If you wanted to cut this down with your paper trimmer, you definitely could if you're doing something like this, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. Let's see. So it's a book page. It does have an orientation. I'm trying to decide whether I care about that or not. Just using glue stick. I don't want to get a bunch of water on the watercolor, or liquid glue, I mean. So I'm just going to do this. For whatever reason, I really want some of this gold to stick out on the side, and even though I was like, my thought was to have it stick out of the page like the rest of the tree is that way. This is just fine. Get some more glue under here. Now, if there's an issue with glue stick sticking, even if there is watercolor or, you know, something that I could, I could activate with a liquid glue, I would still maybe use a dot of liquid glue. I just don't want to use a ton of it because I'm not sure if these are going to stay down very well, but my backup plan is to grab the liquid glue. Also, with the glue like art glitter glue, you only need to use a tiny bit of it. That's why I like it so much. So let's do another visual fit here. You know what? I think I am going to grab my paper trimmer. This is my Fiskars paper trimmer. A lot of times I use it upside down. The reason that I use this one is because it has a 6-inch base. So 6 inches here, and then however, you know, another 1.5 inches that way. But when you're using 12 by 12 scrapbook paper, which I used to do a ton, but don't very often anymore, I used to kind of worry about the 4-inch base not supporting the paper, basically. So, you know, it's one of those like, oh, it's going to be like a tiny portion of a millimeter off and it's going to bother me for some reason. But after buying one with a 6-inch base, and of course it has the arm that goes out to 15 inches. Can you see that? I realized that there is a lot of cutting with both 8.5 by 11 and 12 by 12 that you can do without having to open up the arm. A lot of times I work in the living room on projects on a tiny little, you know, folding tray, one of those wooden tables. So I don't have a ton of space. And of course I need to lay everything out. So that was that about this. That was extra. You're welcome. I don't know. So I'm going to cut this down. I'm going to cut it down. I need it to be about at the end of this text. I'm just eyeballing it, comparing it to our green page in the book. But you do this however you want if you're doing something like this and adding another page into your already paged junk journal. This one is not liking the glue stick. So I am going to grab just a tiny bit of white glue. That's all you need with art glitter glue, and it should hold it down. Let's do a visual fit again. Okay, this seems about right. Maybe I need a little bit more cut down. I don't want it to be shoved too tight into the middle because obviously this is already super chunky, and the more you put in the very middle, the harder it is, or the more it impedes the bending of pages. Yeah, you know what I mean, right? Do you not? If you don't know what I mean, I'm sorry, because maybe I don't know what I mean. So I'm going to cut down a little more here anyway. Let's see, not even 1/4 of an inch, I think. So maybe 1/8 of an inch, but really, I'm not measuring it. I am just going to hold it down and go for it. Ooh. There we go. Now, there's another cut that we need to make at the top or the bottom, and it's going to be at the bottom. Let's see. So I'm just going to kind of use the text as a guide here. I want about this much space of the green to show in the back. So do any of you do this? So I don't usually make a mark with a pen, but I'll make a mark with my finger or my fingernail about where I want it to cut. And that's right about there. Move the book out of the way, or most of the book out of the way. And I see my mark. I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it right here. Gonna lay it down. Since I have kind of layers of stuff, another layer, I'm just gonna hold it. I want to make sure that everything kind of stays flush as I'm cutting through it, and you just go quick. And it cuts right through. All right. I like it so far. Glue stick. This page is fairly thin, so if you use the wet glue, then you get the lines. Doesn't really matter because probably after this spread, I'm going to do a different one on the back. but that's just my thought process there. And I think I shouldn't have a problem with this paper to this paper with the glue stick. I'm going to go around the outside, around the outside. And try to kind of even up a frame. Sometimes when you do this, you just got to start on one end. And really, if it's not exact, it doesn't matter. You can see it's a little wonky on that side, but that's okay. So now I have a sky that has some very moody colors, and my tree, and now I'm going to find the birds. Just moving things around over here. This is just my little container where I keep a lot of bugs and florals, and so I ended up keeping birds in here too. I didn't realize, you know, I need a whole tray maybe for birds, but I'm just gonna grab a few of these. Let's see what I've got here. These are cut from the Tim Holtz birds. I'm not sure what this die set is called, but obviously I didn't think about this, but I need to use something that contrasts with the background, so these lighter ones I'm probably not going to use. I might want one of these in here, or maybe one of these like this. Let's see. Those are brighter. This one's light. So I'm just kind of sorting through really quickly. Put that one away. I cut these out kind of around the offcut to make a little something. So those are fun. They feel very artsy to me. But I think this one is too wide. So I'm going to use either this one or this one, and then I have some of the birds. Set these aside for now. cleaning up some of the ends here. You know, I think that's it. That's it, that's it. There's my spread. A little more artsy than I usually take the time to do, but I really like it. And it memorializes, is that the word that we're, it's a remembrance of? What's the term I want to use? It has 2 different projects on it, pieces of 2 different projects that I'm working on. So the birds, and then also this for that altered book. And of course, this is just hilarious because it's that Tim Holtz packaging, because I'm always like, I should put Tim Holtz packaging. I should use it as like journaling cards or something, because it is always in my stash. There are a lot of projects I do without it, but a lot of projects that I do with Tim Holtz something. So that's everything. Thanks so much for joining me today for this one, and I will see you in the next one.